The wind howled through the narrow streets of the small town as if carrying whispers of old secrets. The sky was a dull gray, heavy with the promise of snow, and the chill had seeped into every corner of the little apartment where Maya lived with her mother, Anara. Their home was modest, the kind of place where every crack in the walls told a story of years gone by, and every worn floorboard creaked under the weight of memories. Maya, a woman in her late 20s, had always carried a sense of restlessness, a burning desire for independence that sometimes made her blind to the quiet needs of others. Anara, her mother, had lived a life of sacrifices, each one etched into the gentle lines of her face. She had raised Maya alone after the early death of her husband, navigating a world that often seemed too harsh, too indifferent. And yet, she had done it with a quiet dignity, a soft resilience that Maya had always taken for granted. It was a cold evening in December when the tension between them reached a breaking point. Maya had found an old tattered bag hidden in the corner of their tiny living room, a bag that belonged to her mother. Its leather was cracked and worn, and its presence seemed to stir something deep within Maya, something she couldn't quite name. She shook it lightly and a small envelope fell out. Inside there were letters, yellowed and fragile, and a photograph of a man Maya had never seen. "What is this?" Maya demanded, her voice sharper than she intended. Her eyes, wide with a mixture of anger and confusion, pinned her mother against the wall. "Why didn't you ever tell me about him?" Anara flinched, her hands trembling slightly as she reached for the envelope. "Maya, it's complicated. That bag, that man, it was a part of my past I thought I had buried," she whispered. Her voice was soft, almost breaking, but Maya felt only a surge of impatience. "You've kept secrets your whole life, Mother. And now, after all these years, you expect me to just accept it?" Maya's words were harsh, and they cut deeper than she realized. The room seemed smaller suddenly, the walls pressing in as the cold from outside crept through the thin windows. Anara's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "I never wanted to hurt you, Maya. I only wanted to protect you." But Maya's frustration had reached a peak. Her heart was racing, her mind clouded with years of buried resentment and misunderstood intentions. Without thinking, without listening, she said the word she would regret almost immediately. "Then maybe you should leave, go. You don't belong here anymore." The silence that followed was heavier than any winter storm. Anara looked at her daughter, her eyes wide with disbelief, and for a moment the world seemed to hold its breath. Slowly, painfully she nodded. "If that's what you want, I will go," she said. The next morning the streets were blanketed in snow. Anara, wrapped in the thin coat she had worn for years, walked slowly through the biting cold, her breath visible in the frosty air. Every step was a reminder of the distance that had grown between mother and daughter, a chasm carved by a single thoughtless sentence. Maya sat alone in the apartment, staring at the empty space where her mother had slept for decades. The silence was deafening. The old bag lay on the floor, the envelope open, and the photograph staring back at her like a silent accusation. She felt the weight of her words, the cruelty she had allowed to escape in a moment of anger. By the time the sun began to set, casting long shadows over the snow-covered streets, Maya was frantic. She realized the depth of her mistake, but the cold outside mirrored the cold she had created between them. Panic rose in her chest. She grabbed her coat, ran into the streets, calling for her mother, her voice cracking with desperation. "Mother, mother, please," she shouted, her footsteps muffled by the snow. And then, from a distance, she saw her. Anara, standing alone at the edge of the park, her figure small and fragile against the winter wind. The sight of her mother, so defiant yet vulnerable, pierced Maya's heart. The regret that had been simmering all day now became unbearable, a tidal wave of guilt and longing. "Mama, I'm so sorry," Maya whispered, tears streaming down her face. But Anara didn't move. She simply looked at her daughter, the wind whipping her hair, her face pale but strong. Maya ran toward her, the cold biting at her cheeks, but it was nothing compared to the ache in her chest. She reached her mother and fell to her knees, enveloping her in an embrace that spoke of sorrow, love, and desperate forgiveness. Anara's arms trembled as they wrapped around Maya, but slowly, gently, she pulled her daughter close. "Why did it take you so long to understand?" Anara murmured, her voice breaking. I didn't want to see," Maya admitted. "I thought I knew everything, but I was wrong. I was so wrong." The wind continued to howl around them, the snow falling softly, covering the earth like a blanket, but within that small circle of light and warmth, a fragile reconciliation began to take shape. It would not erase the hurt of the past, nor the harsh words spoken in anger, but it was a start, a fragile, trembling start toward understanding, compassion, and healing. Maya held her mother tightly, feeling the cold snow clinging to their coats, but it didn't matter. What mattered was that she had found her. Slowly, Anara pulled back just enough to look into Maya's tear-filled eyes. Maya, that bag, the letters, the man in the photo, you deserve to know everything, Anara said, her voice steady now, a mix of sorrow and relief. I should have told you sooner, but I wanted to protect you from a world I thought was too cruel. Maya nodded, her fingers still clutching her mother's. I know, Mama, I see that now, but please, let me understand, let me know. Anara sighed, glancing down at the old leather bag resting on the snow beside them. She picked it up carefully, almost reverently, as if it contained not just old papers, but a lifetime of choices, regrets, and love. She opened it, revealing the letters, photographs, and a small, intricately carved wooden box. This bag, she began, was given to me when I was your age, Maya. It belonged to your grandmother, and inside are the pieces of a story that shaped who I am and who you are too. She handed Maya the wooden box. Open it. Maya lifted the lid with trembling hands. Inside she found a collection of carefully preserved keepsakes, a faded locket, a bundle of letters tied with a ribbon, and a small handwritten journal. She picked up the journal, running her fingers over the cover, and looked at her mother. Who wrote this? Maya asked softly. My father, your grandfather? Anara replied, her eyes glistening. He died before you were born, and these letters, they were his way of leaving behind wisdom, love, and hope for the women in his life. Maya's breath caught in her throat. She opened one of the letters and began to read aloud, her voice quivering. My dearest Anara, I know life will be hard, but remember that strength lies not in avoiding pain, but in how you rise from it. Her voice faltered, but the words carried a gentle, enduring warmth. Anara smiled through her tears. He wanted us to always find light, even in the darkest places. Maya looked at her mother, really looked at her for the first time in years. The soft lines of sacrifice, the quiet strength, the unwavering love that had carried her through every storm. Mama, I understand now. I see everything you've done for me, and I am so sorry for pushing you away. Anara's hands cupped Maya's face gently. We both made mistakes, my dear, but it's never too late to start again. Life is about how we choose to love, even after anger, even after fear. The cold began to fade around them, as if the warmth of their reconciliation had spread beyond their hearts. Maya held the journal, the letters, the locket, all symbols of a past that was no longer shrouded in silence. She could feel the generations of love, courage, and resilience that had been entrusted to her, and it sparked something deep within her, a determination to honor it. Mama, Maya said, her voice steady now, let's go home, let's warm ourselves, and we'll open this bag together properly. I want to know everything. I want us to share it, all of it, together. Anara nodded, a soft smile breaking across her face for the first time in days. Yes, Maya, together. They walked back through the snow-covered streets, their hands intertwined, not as mother and daughter divided by anger or regret, but as partners in life, bound by love that could not be broken. And with every step, the old bag, the bag that had once carried secrets and sorrow, now carried the promise of new beginnings, forgiveness and hope. When they returned to their small apartment, Maya lit the fireplace, the golden flames dancing across the walls. They sat side by side, the bag open between them, and began to read each letter, each entry, each memory. They laughed at stories they had never known, cried at moments of heartache long past, and discovered the depth of the love that had always surrounded them. Maya realized something in that quiet, warm room. Love, even when tested by time, mistakes, or anger, never truly disappears. It waits, patient and enduring, for hearts to open and heal. And that night, as the snow fell softly against the windows, mother and daughter found not just reconciliation but a bond stronger than ever, rooted in understanding, forgiveness, and the shared knowledge that every hardship could be transformed into a story of hope. As they closed the journal and carefully placed the letters back in the old bag, Maya hugged her mother tightly, whispering, No matter what comes, Mama, we'll face it together, always. Anara hugged her back, her voice full of quiet strength. Always, my child, always. As the fire crackled, casting a golden glow over the room, Maya carefully pulled out the first letter from the bundle. The handwriting was elegant, flowing, full of the kind of patience and care that only comes from someone who truly loved. Mama, Maya whispered, this was your life before me, wasn't it? Anara nodded, a small smile tugging at her lips. Yes, there were joys, mistakes, heartaches, and hope. I wanted to protect you from all the sorrow, but I see now, you needed to know the full story. Maya opened the next letter. It was from a man named Rafiq, her mother's long-lost love. the man in the photograph. His words were filled with longing, regret, and an unshakable respect for Anara's strength. I never stopped caring for you, the letter read. Life took us down different paths, but you have always been the most remarkable woman I have known. Maya looked up at her mother. Was he? She began, and Anara shook her head gently. No, Maya, we loved each other deeply, but life didn't allow us to be together. And yet, even apart, he always wanted the best for me. He wanted me to be strong for you, for the future we couldn't yet see. Maya felt her chest tighten. The past she had never known was unfolding in front of her, and yet instead of anger or regret, it filled her with awe. Mama, you carried all of this by yourself? Anara chuckled softly, a warm sound that made Maya feel the weight of years melt away. Not just me, I carried it with hope. Hope that you would grow into the woman you were meant to be, and maybe one day understand why I had to make some of the choices I did. The fire flickered, and Maya turned her attention to the small wooden box in the bag. Inside were tiny trinkets, keepsakes from Anara's youth, a pressed flower, a charm bracelet, and a photograph of Anara as a young woman, laughing in the sun with friends who had long moved on. Maya could see the joy in her mother's eyes even back then, a joy that had never truly left her, even through hardship. Look at you, Mama, Maya said softly. You were beautiful, happy, and strong. Anara smiled, brushing a hand over her daughter's. And so are you, Maya. Stronger than I ever could have imagined. That strength, it was always inside you. Sometimes you just need to see it for yourself. For the first time in years, they laughed together, softly, genuinely, as the snow continued to fall outside. They began to share stories that had been locked away in letters and memories. Anara told Maya about her childhood, her dreams, the friends she had loved and lost, and the small daring adventures she had taken in a life that often demanded caution. Maya shared her own life, her struggles, the mistakes she had made, and the moments she wished she could change. But instead of shame, they found understanding. Instead of regret, they found hope. Hours passed like minutes. They pored over every letter, every note, every memory contained in that old bag. And then Maya found something unusual. A letter addressed to her, written by her mother years ago but never given. Maya, Anara said, her voice trembling. I wrote this for you when you were very young. I never thought you'd need it yet, but perhaps now you do. Maya unfolded the letter. The words were simple yet filled with love. No matter where life takes you, know that you are never alone. You carry our history, our love, and our strength with you. Be brave, be kind, and always trust your heart. Maya looked up, tears glistening but a smile spreading across her face. Mama, I had no idea. You were always brave, Maya, Anara said softly. Sometimes you just need to remember. The clock ticked on, but the world outside didn't matter. In that warm apartment, mother and daughter were no longer defined by conflict, by anger, or by past mistakes. They were defined by love, by resilience, and by the beautiful, fragile bond they had rediscovered. Maya leaned her head on her mother's shoulder. I promise, Mama, I will never let us drift apart again. From now on, we face everything together. Anara wrapped her arms around Maya, holding her close. Together, she whispered, and the word carried the weight of 1,000 unspoken dreams. They spent the rest of the evening planning small adventures, future trips, even something as simple as cooking together on weekends. The old bag, once a symbol of secrets and sorrow, now rested on the table as a treasure chest of memories, stories, and guidance for the future. By the time the first light of morning touched the city, the apartment was filled with laughter, warmth, and a sense of anticipation for what was to come. They had weathered the storm of misunderstanding, regret, and the cold winter night, and had emerged stronger, united, and hopeful. Maya looked at Anara, her heart full. Mama, thank you for everything, for staying, for loving, for giving me the chance to understand. Anara smiled, her eyes sparkling. And thank you, Maya, for coming back to me, for opening your heart. Outside, the snow had stopped. Sunlight reflected off the streets, glinting like a promise of brighter days ahead. And in that light, mother and daughter began a new chapter, one of shared joy, adventures yet to come, and a love that no storm could ever touch. The old bag sat quietly on the table, no longer a burden or a secret, but a bridge between the past and the future. And as Maya and Anara stepped into the morning together, they knew one thing for certain. The coldest night could never overcome the warmth of forgiveness, understanding, and a love that endures beyond time. The morning sunlight poured through the curtains, bathing the apartment in a golden glow. Maya and Anara moved slowly, savoring the comfort of togetherness after the tension and sorrow of the previous day. Maya brewed a pot of tea, the steam curling into the air like soft whispers of calm. while Anara prepared breakfast with an ease and familiarity that made the small apartment feel like a home, in a way it hadn't for years. As they sat down at the table, the old bag still resting between them, Maya smiled. Mama, we should explore everything in this bag today. Every letter, every photo, every little treasure. I want to know it all. I want to know you completely. Anara's eyes shone with quiet pride. I was hoping you'd say that. There's so much in here that I never shared. Some of it might surprise you, but it will help you understand how we became who we are. Maya opened a small envelope and pulled out a photograph of a young Anara standing in a sun-dappled meadow, laughing freely, her hair blowing in the wind. Mama, you look so happy here, she whispered. Anara laughed softly. I was happy, Maya. Life hadn't yet weighed me down. That meadow? It's where I learned to run, to chase dreams without fear. I want you to see that part of me because it's also a part of you. They spent the morning unwrapping memories, reading letters and laughing at stories of Anara's youth. Misadventures with friends, small rebellions against strict teachers, moments of quiet triumph no one else knew about. With each story, Maya felt her mother's resilience and joy seep into her own heart. She realized how much of herself she had inherited. Strength, courage, and the ability to rise even after the coldest nights. At one point, Maya found a letter addressed to her mother from a woman named Layla. Who's this? Maya asked. That's my childhood friend, Anara replied, smiling. We lost touch over the years, but she always reminded me that laughter and friendship are as important as love and responsibility. She encouraged me to live fully, even when life was hard. Maya grinned. Mama, your life was so full, I never realized it. Anara reached out, taking Maya's hand. And yours will be too, Maya. You have the power to make it even fuller because you have both our stories inside you, our struggles, our triumphs, and our love. You don't have to be afraid of mistakes, they are just lessons in disguise. As the day unfolded, they began organizing the bag, turning it into a collection of memories they could revisit whenever life felt overwhelming. They labeled letters, tucked photographs into albums, and even made a small scrapbook for the trinkets and charms. Each item sparked conversation, laughter, or a gentle tear of emotion, but always with warmth, never sadness. By afternoon, Maya suggested something spontaneous. Mama, let's go outside. The snow is still soft and the sun is shining. Let's make a memory today too, one we can put into this bag for the future. Anara's eyes lit up. I think that's a wonderful idea. They bundled up in scarves, hats and gloves, stepping into the crisp air. The park nearby glistened under the snow, a sparkling wonderland of possibilities. They built a small snowman together, laughing as it grew uneven and lopsided, decorating it with bits of scarf and twigs for arms. They chased each other through the snow, their laughter echoing, blending with the gentle crunch of footsteps on frozen ground. At one point, Maya stopped, breathless, and looked at her mother. Mama, I can't believe how lucky I am to have you. After everything, this moment feels perfect. Anara knelt in the snow, brushing it from her coat. Every moment can be perfect if you're willing to see it, Maya. Life is full of surprises, and sometimes the hardest days lead to the brightest ones. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, they returned home, cheeks flushed from the cold, hearts warm from shared joy. Maya placed a small snowball in the old bag, laughing. For the memories we're making now, let's save this one too, Anara chuckled. I think that's a perfect addition. Back in the apartment, they sipped cocoa by the fire, the glow reflecting off their faces. Maya looked at her mother, a feeling of contentment settling deep in her chest. Mama, no matter what comes next, we'll face it together, just like today, just like always. Yes, Maya, Anara said softly, together, and there's so much ahead for us, adventures, discoveries, laughter. This is only the beginning. Maya opened the old bag one last time for the evening, carefully closing the scrapbook they had made together. She looked at all the letters, photos, and trinkets, each one a piece of the story that connected their past to their future. Our story, she whispered, smiling. It's ours now, and it's full of hope. Anara reached over and squeezed her hand. And the best part? We get to write the next chapter together. As night settled outside, they sat by the fire, planning their small adventures, weekend trips, trying new recipes, visiting places from Anara's childhood. Every plan was filled with laughter, promise, and excitement. The old bag rested nearby, no longer a source of sorrow, but a testament to love, resilience, and the endless potential of shared joy. Maya realized something that night, as she lay in bed next to her mother for the first time in years. No matter how harsh the past, no matter how cold the night, warmth and hope can always be found. And with her mother by her side, every day could become a story worth telling, a memory worth keeping, a life worth celebrating. And so, with hearts full and spirits high, they drifted into sleep, not weighed down by regret or sorrow, but lifted by the power of forgiveness, understanding, and the bright, unending light of love. The next morning, Maya woke to the smell of pancakes drifting through the apartment. Anara was humming softly as she flipped them on the stove, a sight so ordinary and yet so precious that Maya felt her heart swell. She tiptoed over, wrapping her arms around her mother from behind. "Good morning, Mama," Maya whispered, her breath warm against Anara's shoulder. "Good morning, Maya," Anara replied, turning with a bright smile. "Did you sleep well?" "The best I've slept in years," Maya said, laughing softly. "I can't remember the last time I felt this at peace." After breakfast, they decided to turn the day into an adventure. Maya suggested visiting the old neighborhood where Anara had grown up. "I want to see where your stories happened," Maya said eagerly. "The streets you walked, the playgrounds you loved, the little shops you told me about." Anara hesitated for a moment, her eyes misty, but then nodded. "Yes, let's go. It's been so long, but I'd love to share it with you." Bundled up in coats and scarves, they stepped into the crisp morning air. The streets were lined with old brick houses, trees stripped bare by winter, and the faint scent of bakery bread drifting from a corner shop. As they walked, Anara began to share memories, laughing about small mischiefs with childhood friends, recounting the courage it took to navigate life's difficulties, and describing the quiet moments of joy she had found in unexpected places. "This is the park where I learned to ride my bicycle," Anara said, pointing to a small clearing. "I fell more times than I can count, but every time I got back up, I wanted to be fearless, and I wanted that for you too." Maya watched her mother's face light up with pride and nostalgia. "Mama, you were always so brave." "And so are you, Maya," Anara said, squeezing her hand. "Even when you didn't see it, it was always there." At the small corner shop, Maya spotted a little wooden carousel toy, its paint chipped but its charm intact. She picked it up. "Mama, this looks like something from your stories. Did you ever have one?" Anara laughed softly. "Yes, I used to save my pocket money to buy little things like that. It felt magical, imagining the world spinning with possibilities." Maya handed the toy to her mother. "Here, I want you to have it again, as a reminder that magic is everywhere, even in small moments." Anara held it close, her eyes glimmering with emotion. "Thank you, Maya, for seeing it, for understanding it, and for sharing it with me now." They continued walking, stopping at the little bakery where Anara used to get pastries with her friends. The baker, an elderly man with a warm smile, recognized Anara instantly. "Anara, it's been decades, look at you," he exclaimed, giving her a gentle hug. Maya watched in awe as her mother's eyes lit up with recognition and joy. "People, memories, little joys, this is all part of life," Anara said as they walked out, each carrying a small bag of pastries. "It's the moments we collect, the laughter, the surprises that make life beautiful." Back at home, they spread out the pastries and sipped tea, recounting the day's adventures. Maya opened the old bag again, placing the carousel toy inside. "Our adventures now. They belong in here too, not just the past but the present and the future." Anara nodded, smiling. "Yes, Maya, and we have so many more to make." The evening fell and they settled by the fire once more. Maya took a piece of paper and began writing, inspired by everything they had experienced. She wrote down their stories, adding little notes about the day's adventures. Anara watched her, a gentle pride filling her heart. "Mama, one day we'll look back at this and smile," Maya said softly. "Not just because of the past, but because of everything we're creating now." Anara reached out, brushing Maya's hair from her face. "Exactly, my dear. Life is not only about what we've endured, it's about what we cherish, what we love, and the memories we create together. That's the magic." Hours passed as they shared stories, laughed, and planned new little adventures. They imagined future trips to nearby towns, visits to old friends, and quiet evenings spent baking or reading together. The old bag sat quietly on the table, no longer a vessel of secrets or regrets, but a symbol of love, memories, and hope, past, present, and future. As night deepened, Maya looked at her mother with a soft smile. "Mama, I can't imagine life without you, and I don't want to." Anara held her hand, her eyes glistening with warmth. "And you never will, Maya, because we'll always be together, through every winter, every storm, every sunrise." Maya leaned into her mother's shoulder, feeling the weight of all past misunderstandings lift completely. Outside, the moonlight reflected off the snow, illuminating their little apartment like a beacon. Inside, their hearts were full, their bond unbreakable, and their laughter echoed softly, promising countless joyful days to come. And in that moment, Maya realized something profound. Love, forgiveness, and hope are not fleeting. They are enduring forces. Every cold night, every harsh word, every old secret had led them to this. A place of warmth, trust, and shared joy. The old bag no longer contained sorrow, it contained life, waiting to be celebrated, and adventures waiting to be written together. As they finally turned off the lights, the apartment glowing softly in the moonlight, Maya whispered, "Mama, let's keep making memories. Always." Anara squeezed her hand gently. "Always, my dear, always." And with that, mother and daughter drifted into sleep, hearts intertwined, knowing that no storm, no misunderstanding, and no past mistake could ever dim the brightness of their love and their future together. The next morning, the apartment was filled with sunlight streaming through the curtains, making the dust particles dance like tiny sparks of magic. Maya and Anara sat at the kitchen table, sipping tea, the old bag open between them. But today felt different. There was a sense of anticipation in the air, as if life itself was urging them forward. "Mama," Maya said softly, "we've gone through the past, we've laughed, cried, and forgiven. But I feel like there's more waiting for us, a story we haven't lived yet." Anara smiled knowingly. "There is always more, Maya. Life doesn't stop giving opportunities to grow, to love, and to create. And now we'll face them together." Maya carefully pulled out a new letter from the old bag, one she had found the night before but hadn't read aloud. The envelope was marked in her mother's handwriting, addressed to her, "To Maya, for the day you see the world with open eyes." Maya opened it and began to read. "My dearest Maya, if you are reading this, it means you are ready. Ready to take your strength, your courage, and your love into the world. Remember that life will challenge you, but no challenge is too great if you carry hope, kindness, and resilience in your heart. And never forget, the greatest gift is the love you share. Always share it, Maya." Tears welled in Maya's eyes, but they were tears of joy and determination. She looked at her mother. "Mama, you've given me everything, not just love, but the courage to face life no matter what comes. And I want to do the same with you, always." Anara reached across the table and held Maya's hands tightly. "And I will be right there every step of the way. But it's time for you to shine, Maya, to take your story into the world, knowing that our love is your anchor." A sudden idea lit up Maya's eyes. "Mama, what if we share our story? Not just our story, but the lessons, the adventures, the love, the forgiveness, everything that this bag holds. Maybe we can help others who feel lost, alone, or cold inside." Anara's eyes sparkled. "Yes, Maya, that's perfect. Let's turn our past into a guide, a source of hope. We can reach people, show them that even the darkest winters can lead to the brightest springs." And so they began to plan. They would write a book together, capturing every detail. The laughter, the tears, the snowy park, the old bag, the letters, and the life lessons they had rediscovered. They would include photographs, sketches of memories, and even little moments of playfulness like the carousel toy and the snowball from the previous day. Days turned into weeks, and with each page, Maya and Anara grew closer than ever. The apartment was alive with energy and creativity. They laughed at old mistakes, marveled at forgotten joys, and celebrated victories both big and small. One evening, as they were finishing a particularly heartfelt chapter about love and forgiveness, Maya looked up at her mother. "Mama, I've realized something. The bag, the letters, the past, they weren't just memories. They were a gift, a roadmap for life, and now we're giving it back to the world." Anara nodded, tears in her eyes. "Yes, Maya, and you've become everything I hoped you would be. Strong, compassionate, and full of hope. You've turned what could have been regret into purpose." The next morning they sealed the book, the culmination of months of laughter, tears, and discovery. Maya held it close. "This is more than a story, Mama. It's our legacy. It's proof that love, forgiveness, and courage can overcome anything." Anara hugged her daughter tightly. "And this is only the beginning." As they walked out of their apartment together, sunlight illuminating the streets and sparkling on the melting snow, Maya looked at her mother and smiled. "Mama, whatever comes next, we face it together, and I know it will be amazing." "Yes, Maya," Anara said, her voice steady and strong. "Together we can face anything, and we will." The old bag, now resting safely in the corner, had fulfilled its purpose. It had carried secrets, sorrows, and lessons, but now it stood as a symbol of love, resilience, and the power of a bond that could not be broken. And as mother and daughter stepped into the world hand in hand, their laughter echoed through the streets, warm and bright, a promise to themselves and to life. That no cold night, no mistake, and no secret could ever extinguish the light of love and hope. Because some bonds once rediscovered are unshakable. Some stories once told can change everything. And some hearts once opened fully have the power to shine forever. Maya looked at her mother one last time that morning, feeling a surge of gratitude and joy. "Mama, I think we're ready. Ready to live, ready to love, ready to make every day a story worth telling." Anara smiled, the pride and love in her eyes radiating like sunlight. "Yes, Maya, together we're unstoppable, and our story will inspire others to never give up, never lose hope, and never forget the power of love." And so, with hearts full of courage, hands tightly clasped, and the promise of countless adventures ahead, Maya and Anara stepped forward into a future brighter than they had ever imagined. The old bag remained behind, no longer a keeper of sorrow, but a treasure chest of memories and lessons, a symbol that even in the coldest moments, love can guide you, hope can lead you, and forgiveness can set you free. And in that warmth, mother and daughter knew the truth. Life is not measured by the hardships endured, but by the love shared, the laughter savored, and the stories we create together. With that, the sun rose higher, reflecting off the snow, as Maya and Anara walked into a world full of possibilities, stronger, closer, and ready to embrace every moment, every adventure, and every story yet to come. Their journey was not just about forgiveness. It was about love that transforms, hope that empowers, and a bond that endures forever. And that was the most powerful story of all.